Welcome back, guys. Today's video, we're going to work on getting the shifter and the center console put together in the car here. It should go fairly smooth, and I'm really excited on how this is going to turn out because I can't believe how well this all worked out to begin with. Just the way it fits in here and everything it has and where everything's sitting. Just to recap, we're going to fit this, it's the B&M Stealth Pro ratchet shifter. Center console is out of a 2006 Grand Prix. And we're going to make this all work in a 68 LeMans. And we're going to try and make it look as factory as possible. As wild and crazy as this car is going to be in the end, certain aspects of it I like to make look subtle and factory. And I think this is going to work great, but we're going to start, we got to modify some stuff, obviously. And the first thing I wanted to do was I put the cover on the shifter just so I can see how it all fits together. And we got to fit it into this hole, which obviously has to get lengthened. So that's going to be the first step, is we got to cut out a little bit of the top here and basically start fitting. And you know, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be putting this thing on and off about half a dozen times, but let's get to it. I want to get this thing done. So this is just sitting in here. It's not secured down at all. But the first thing we're going to do, just to see how everything fits, is I sat this right in the pocket there where it's going to be. And I kept the back flush, and then I just took a marker and gave myself a little reference line. You can kind of see the little mark there. That's going to be my initial cut. I don't want to cut too much off the first time. I'll probably have to keep recutting and shaving it back more and more, but that's going to be the first cut there. So I have it sitting about as low as I want to sit, and I really like that look. You saw I just kept nipping away a little bit more until it sat down right where I want it. And so it's just poking out a little bit front and back, and the middle, obviously it's not going to have the same contour, but that's, I mean, the fact that it's got this wave in it, and the shifter's kind of shaped that way too, it's very similar. I really dig this. Now I used a grinder. I'm sure there's better tools out there to do this with, but that's what I had to work with. And I mean, I can clean this up later. You can see how the front is here. This is going to be visible in the car. So not this year, but I'm thinking next winter I'll pull this out and I'm going to clean up this front, cut it off, fiberglass it nice, and I might get this wrapped. Either in carbon fiber, or I'm just gonna smooth the whole thing out and paint the top. I've got options. I was thinking about wrapping the side in suede because the top separates from the side, so I could do a suede side and a nice finished top to it. But not gonna deal with that this year. For now, I just want to get stuff usable, and I'm liking how much I have cut out right now, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So now I got to move this unit back to the car, and we'll try and figure out what kind of spacing we need underneath the shifter to make it sit up as high as it is right now. I saved the mounting bracket out of the Grand Prix, and I had to modify it a bit, and I welded it in place. That allows me to take the center console and drop it over top, and I now know where the location's gonna be. And that is pretty much, see, like now I can just use those bowl holes on the side, the factory holes, and it's sitting where I want it to sit. So with this, knowing that this is going to be sitting like just poking out, I'm just going to drop it down like so. Need my measuring tape. And I want it sticking out about 1/4 inch, and I'm about 3 1/4 up. So basically I want to make I want this shifter, like I have to make a spacer that sits this thing about 3 1/2 inches higher than what it is now at the back. And the front's at 2 1/4, so I'll put that around 2 1/2. So now I can take this off and start making the mounting plate for that shifter. And I'll try and space it up off the floor, you know, 3 1/2 at the back, or what did I say, 3 1/2 at the back, 2 1/2 at the front, and we'll test fit this again. So I'm not going for style points here, I'm going for functionality. So it doesn't look pretty, but you're never going to see any of this anyway. Here's the plate I made up with the holes drilled in the appropriate spot, and I've got it spaced up to the measurement I made earlier. And then I welded a nut, like I drilled a hole through the plate and then welded a nut on the outside here, and then I welded another plate over here with a nut welded on the inside, because the center console fits tight to the outside of this guy, but then there's a bit of a gap on this side, so I welded the nut on the opposite side. But that's pretty much it for the fabrication part of it. Everything, like I'm going to fit it all together shortly, but I've already test fit this thing multiple times. Right now I'm going to work on, I'm going to set the shifter in place and look at where my shifter cable has to go through the floor, and I got to drill that hole. Well, I got pretty lucky. Everything lined up. Once I bolted the shifter in, there's the factory hole in the floor that this sound deadening was over top of. And it works good. Everything lined up good. I didn't have to drill any more holes. And if you've never installed a B&M shifter before, they are very easy, very straightforward. Basically bolt it in, connect this end of the cable. If you have a GM tranny, it tells you how to wrap the cable around underneath. If you have a Ford or Chrysler, you wrap it a different way. But if you have a TH400 like I do, they're pretty straightforward. And I'll show you how I did the bottom. Like if you just follow the directions that come with it, it's pretty easy. The cable comes down the passenger side, wraps around the back, and up into the appropriate brackets. I installed these brackets back when I put the transmission in, and it walks you through how to adjust the cable, which is pretty easy. You know, up top you put the shifter all the way forward into the park position, and down here you shift the lever all the way forward, and this guy should slide in and out of that hole freely. And then if you have this all adjusted properly so that slides in and out freely, you should be able to pop that out, pull this lever all the way back, go up top, pull the shifter all the way back, and this should still slide in and out freely. And this did. Very, very simple to install. So as I mentioned before, one of the reasons why I wanted to go with a newer style center console is because it's got the 12-volt auxiliaries, and this one actually has a traction control button built into it. And one thing I would love to be able to do is to utilize this button for something else, possibly a two-step, maybe even a horn, because I don't have the horn wired into the steering wheel. It doesn't have the button. This one was just this Grant steering wheel just has a cover, no button. So I got to do something there, and I might use this button. And I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing it correctly and that it functions the way I need it to. And I cut out, because I saved the plugs and stuff from this center console when I took it out of the car. And I've eliminated the wires I don't need. And the only wires I have left is basically the positive and negative for the 12-volt auxiliaries. and the other 2 wires are from the traction control button. And I just wanted to test them and to double check that it's going to function the way I want it to. So I've hooked up, I just have the battery out of my Sea-Doo and just a voltmeter. And I'm just going to show you how it reacts. I took the, I've got the positive wire hooked up from the button, and here would be the other side of that hot. I mean, it's basically a hot in, hot out, and basically I'm introducing the negative, and then when I hit the button, you should see it shoot up to about 12 volts, 11, high 11s. This battery is not fully charged, but there you have it. So that button's going to be able to do exactly what I want it to do. Because like some of them like click and stay on. This isn't one of those styles. It's just on, off, on, off. So basically all I have now left to do is to slap it all together. And there we have it, guys. I'm not putting absolutely everything on. I still have to take this all apart again because I got to put my carpet underneath. But I mean, this thing it's in there solid. The shifter's in there solid, and I think it turned out great. So stuff like this might not be everyone's cup of tea, but really this wasn't very hard to do, and in the end this thing's gonna feel like I'm driving a more modern vehicle. And I mean, that's kind of what I want. It's a custom vehicle, it's a custom car. This is the kind of custom stuff I like to do. It's nothing special, but in the end it's a little different, and some people might dig it. So it's my car, I can do what I want with it. But just to give you a kind of an idea as to, if you're wondering what you want to do for a center console in your car to make a more modern shifter work, because if you're doing a kind of build like mine and you have to switch to a different shifter and you're wondering how that's going to fit in the rest of the vehicle, don't be afraid to try something new. But yeah, I'm thrilled with the way it turned out, and I'm just going to keep pounding away on this thing and get the thing get the carpet in, finish the wiring, throw the seats back in, and start buttoning up all the little stuff. But I just wanted to show you guys that. That's it for now.